Hello and welcome to Hexed Countered. My name's Joe. In this game we'll be doing a playthrough, perhaps and most likely a partial playthrough, of scenario number 12 from the game A las Barricadas. This is from Compass Games, part of the Warstorm series, and is also part of my look at Platoon-Level Tactical Games. We did do another Compass Games Warstorm series entry, Path to Hell, which covered Operation Barbarossa. This one is set in the Spanish Civil War of the 1930s that took place basically just prior to the start of the Second World War. So we have the Republicans and the Nationalists squaring off here. This one is called the Defense of Medina, or Medina, maybe, perhaps. I live in Ohio and we say Medina, but we will see. So yeah, we have Phalangists on the Nationalist side and the Villarreal column on the Republican side. Basically communist militia against Phalangist militia. And the goal here, I won't read through everything, but basically here you can see basically your setup. This is a 9-turn scenario. This is map B. The orientation is this way. I turned it sideways because it fits the aspect ratio of the video better. So basically, if you were playing this, yourself, you would probably turn it 90 degrees counterclockwise to have the orientation similar to this. But, this sheet right here. But we're playing it sideways, basically. So we're going to have kind of a north would be this direction. So we're at the eastern end over here, western end up there, south, north. Pretty straightforward. So our Republican forces will come in between, 518 here and 1508, which is like up here, right here, I think. So basically between here and here. So these two map edges. Then nationalist reinforcements are going to come in up here at this map edge. They have some. Now, I have not laid the forces out yet. We'll take a pause and I'll do that. Nationalist forces are going to take up here. Our victory hex that the Republicans must control is 402 rather, which is right here, and all adjacent hexes. So basically this hex here and all the surrounding hexes, obviously the nationalists will win if they prevent that from occurring. Special rules, the Republican leaders may not coordinate. Nationalist player sets up first. Nationalist player's attacker and receives the first 2 activations. So this one, I think what the primary focus of this, because obviously I've already done a gameplay video on this series, the mechanics are the same. I am using the latest rule set, which is 2.1. The idea with this one essentially is to make sure that we get an assault, so you can see an assault in action, because I did not get to that in the Path to Hell videos. And also just to kind of maybe show some other things like building fortifications and things like that. Just some stuff that perhaps we did not see in Path to Hell. There are no AFVs, no armored fighting vehicles, no tanks in this scenario. We do have some heavy weapons, some machine guns on both sides. So that is going to do it for setup. So I'm going to set up my nationalist forces over here. We will have reinforcements arriving approximately in this area. And if I remove the scenario card, you'll be able to see the map better. So yeah, they're going to arrive along this road right here. So that is a decent chunk of nationalist troops. And then we have a bunch of Republican forces that are going to start between here and here. I have not here and basically here and here. Let me slide this up a little bit. So here is 1508 right here. It's a half hex. So that's one end of their deployment area, and 518 is the other half. So they will be deploying in this kind of area here along the south and eastern edges of the map. So we have our Republicans here. We're going to send them this way and use the road to get that extra hex occasionally, but this is a lot of clear terrain if we avoid the rough here. Now over here, we also have a lot of clear terrain. Like I can send these guys up this way with the idea of getting onto the crest, the hills here as early as possible. Now on the nationalist side, they are in theory the attacker. So we'll start with their first two activations. I'm going to activate the machine gun team here. And they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And they have 4 movement points. So they're going to be there, and they're going to be marked finished, like so. Then this guy, the captain, because they have the first 2 activations, he's going to activate his entire company. He's got a command range here that's 1. It's 1 right here on his counter. Right there. Right there. That's his command range. So anybody who's within 1 hex of him can be activated by him. So he is going to... My tweezer skills leave much to be desired. So we're just gonna activate the whole company, and he's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so he'll just go here, behind the ridge. And then to go through the woods is 2. So if he went here, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would work. I want to keep them together for activation purposes. So they're all in command, and we don't have to worry about out of command, at least in the first few turns here. So we'll mark everybody as being finished, like so. So that actually completes their activation, and now the rest of the turn is just going to be a bunch of movement by our Republican forces. So I might just do this all off camera, and then I'll come back and talk about where everybody ended up. Okay, so here's the situation, end of turn 1. We pushed our forces from this map edge this way, obviously. We have machine guns here. Then this is kind of a heavy weapons company with a leader. Then we've got 2 infantry companies here. We've got infantry, they're militia, but they're infantry. Then we've got these guys here. This commander has a command range of 2. So he's commanding these 2 platoons as well as the 2 that are stacked with him. So 4 platoons, all under his command. They share the same designation. You can see, on his counter here, you can see the D in the upper left corner above his picture. That means he's company D. You see the little communist flag there as well. He's got a command range of 2, which is in the upper right corner of his photo. The one at the bottom in the yellow circle is coordination and morale. So that, you can see that these guys all have a D as well. So this would be the communist militia, and they are all, their company D as well. So that's his unit, Ortega, and we will move on to turn number 2. Okay, so we are at turn 2. It is the command phase, which is just determining who's in command. Everybody's in command. He's got a command range of 1, and his 2 platoons that aren't stacked with him are both adjacent, so they're in command. Obviously, we just went over the situation here. These guys are in command of Ortega. Then down here, you've got Captain Pernia. He's got his guys with him. Lieutenant Rocco here has his men with him. And Captain Tora has his men with him. So we are going to basically just roll for initiative, move to the initiative phase. I will use, I guess, the gray die for the Nationalists and the blue die for the Republicans. The Nationalists get a +2 for both having had initiative in the prior turn, gives them a +1, and being the attacker in this scenario gives them another +1. So they rolled a 6, which would be modded up to an 8, and the Republicans got a 3. So the Nationalists remain in the driver's seat, although now we alternate because we're beyond turn 1 where they got 2 activations in a row. So this time we're just going to move them. So what I want to do is I'm going to activate my machine gun here, and we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, and put him up on the hill and stop there and mark him finished. Now our communist forces will attempt to go, the Republicans here. They have a couple of options. We can either move Ortega up, or we can move, it works out okay because they don't have, since he's finished, he can't shoot at him. Let's take him. We'll go 1. Woods are 2, I believe. Yes. 2, 3. And then to move up here, he can't because it would cost him 3. The rough is 2 plus 1 for uphill. So he's going to have to stop here. And we'll just bring, well, if he goes 1 plus 3 is 4, he can actually get here. Now these guys, well, this guy is not visible to him because of the crest line, I think. I'd have to check the line of sight and spotting rules. And in here, I think he can see, this guy can see him and vice versa. But as I said, they're both finished right now. Okay, so now activation would go back to our nationalist forces. So we will move this, we're going to activate Captain Miguelez here, and he's going to activate, well, this platoon, all of his entire company is activated. He's going to move up the hill for 2. And then he's going to, well, these are 2, right? I would say we could try an assault. And we perhaps can. Let me see. If we move, that would be 2, 4. Yeah, he can't move in there this turn. Well, if he goes 2, and then 3 more to get up there. So we'll do that. This will give them 5. They're marked finished. And then this guy will move up for 2, and he will join the machine gun up here, which would cost 2 more. So that's only 3. So we're going to put this guy, we're going to stack this guy with the machine gun here. That'll end the nationalists' second and final activation for the turn. The rest will all be Republican. Let's see about range here. The range is only 2, so they can only fire up to 4 hexes away. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're not in range yet to shoot. And these are all rifle, except for this guy right here who's a machine gun, and he's got a range of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he also cannot reach yet. So we're just going to move these guys up. And I'm going to just use non-road movement here for this one. We're just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and stop. He will follow the road, Captain Tora. Here, he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and stop there. And our machine gun, because they only have a movement of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll stop there. So they'll all be marked finished. I'm not going to actually do it because I'm just going to have to pull them off here at the end of the marker phase anyway. So that's going to be the end of turn 2. And I'm going to pause, pull the markers off these guys over here, and then we'll come back and do turn 3. So we're going to try to move quickly through these first few turns until we get to combat. And the combat is going to be, there will be combat in this next turn. And here it is, turn 4. So we have to roll. Everybody's in command. So we're just going to roll for initiative. Same DRM as the previous turn. And this time it's a 1 and it's a 2 and a 1 rather. I almost read them backwards. So the nationalists will have the initiative again. And therefore they get to go first. So we're gonna have an assault here. Or hand-to-hand combat, close assault. Because we're going to take these guys and we're going to assault this hex. And we'll do that right now so that we can, well, both demonstrate how it works, and also because we know that, you know, these guys here, they're all kind of like coming. So again, probably not the best strategy. Best strategy might be to sit up here and just like fire down at these guys. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to assault here, which is probably not the smartest move. And then ultimately, when we get our second activation for the nationalists, these guys will fire at somebody. Okay, so the first thing you do when you're doing an assault is basically you declare it. So we're just going to say that this stack is going to assault this stack, right? They are adjacent, so they're allowed to do it. They have the movement to do so. Now you look at the morale, and the morale is on the leader's counter, and it's this yellow 7. So that's their morale for this company. Now down here in the corner is a leadership modifier that you can apply to the morale check roll of 1. But for an assault, you can only apply that if the leader is actually taking part in the assault. In this case, we're going to do it. We're going to include him in the assault and hope that it doesn't, you know, kill us off here. But so we have to roll a 7 or higher, and you check each platoon individually. So we'll start with this top platoon here. So they need to roll an 8 or less. You take your 2d6, you roll them 8 or less, they pass. They get a 7. So that one passes. Now we do the second one. Whoops. I'm going to re-roll that because that fell off the tower. So let's do this again. Hang on. Let's put this over here. And that's a 12. So that one fails the assault check. Okay, so this is obviously not ideal because you were taking two units and one unit and assaulting 2. So they move into the hex with them. One thing I did not mention is this defensive fire. So once the assault is declared, these guys can fire if they wish to. Now, if they had been marked reaction, which they were not, I could have done that. Well, actually, I couldn't have done that because they just arrived in this hex last turn and they have not had a chance to be activated yet. But if they had had a chance to be activated last turn, if they had already started there, they could have just put themselves in reaction and that would have carried over. Or they could have, if the Republicans had initiative this turn, they could have also put it on them then. They don't have it, which means they have their firepower. So their firepower becomes a 3. So their firepower is a 3, and then so we have our combat chart. So basically you can do it before the assault moves into the hex or after it moves in, or before or after the morale check, essentially. So here we have our combat chart. Now, here's your fire factor of 3, because it's halved. 2 units are firing, each has a 3. So it becomes a 3. So basically they need to roll really low, and then you have attack modifiers for AP. In this game, AP is not armor piercing, it's anti-personnel. So cavalry charging, target in risky action, no. Double time, no. Moving, yes. So they will get a -1. And that's it. So basically they're going to need to roll less than a 5 for this to do any damage. And they rolled a 6. So that gets modded down to a 5, but that's nothing. So now we move to the next phase. So they're in the hex now, and we do our assault. So once the pre-assault morale checks pass, the assaulting units come into close contact by placing themselves in the same hex as the defending unit. If defensive fire is not carried out earlier, it is carried out now. We just did that. So each player adds up the assault values of his platoons participating in the assault. The way we calculate the odds, okay, is by step losses. Now this is obviously an earlier version of the game, so the way it works now is a little different. But in this case, we have this combat strength chart here, which is based on the type of unit and the number of hits. Now nobody's been hit yet, so it's 0. So an infantry has a 4, so the nationalists have 4. The Republicans have 8. Now, die roll modifiers, they're going to have a defender morale of 6 or less because the morale of Ortega's company is 6. So they're going to get a -1 on the die roll. But as far as the odds chart, we go to the odds chart here, and it's 4 attacking 8, which is going to be 1 to 2. I mean, you can figure that out on your own, but I'm showing you how you would do it in another case, like if it was 4 to 7 or something like that. So it's 1 to 2, which is obviously not great, and why I wanted this guy to come, but he failed his morale check. So down here now, at the bottom of the other side of the player aid card, you've got your hand-to-hand combat. So we're going to be 1 to 2, which is this column right here. And unless we roll a 1, it's going to be bad news for the attacker. I mean, this is rough, right? And that's the point of, you know, we do get a -1. So a 1 or a 2 will result in a defender retreat. So we're going to roll 1 die, and we rolled a 2. We rolled a 2, which the DRM, for their low morale being a 6, needs that it becomes a 1, and the result there, as we just saw, and I'll show again, is a DR, which is defender retreat. It says right here, defender retreats 1 hex. So they have to retreat. So they're going to retreat down here. There were no losses there, but they do have to retreat. So there is no way to inflict defender losses on a 2-to-1 attack, or a 1-to-2 attack rather. But then you can see it goes D1, D2, etc. So that is the end of that. Now they're marked finished, but he activated his entire company, which means this guy is also activated. And I should have done this first, and I didn't think about it, and so I kind of blew it. But he could have attacked this hex with firepower first, and then had this guy assist. So we're just gonna, actually, no, he failed his morale check, so he gets marked finished. We're gonna put him in reaction. So that guy's in reaction, and the machine gun is not currently in reaction, because that's going to be our second activation. So now we would go over to the Republicans. One thing I did forget as well is the morale check for these guys for failing. So they have to roll a 6 or less. They do get a +1 from the commander though, so they need a 7 or less here. And they rolled a 10. They rolled a, come on. They rolled a 10. I wish it wouldn't get stuck under the ledge all the time. So they have a 10, which means they have to rout. So when you rout, you get a routed marker, first of all. And then the routing rules, these guys have to rout towards their map edge, which is this edge or this edge. Then they have to route 3 hexes. So they're going to do 1, 2, 3. They'll just do this way. So they're now routed, and they're going to be out of command as well. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to rally from their routed state. So that was actually a pretty good result there for the nationalists, although now it flips over to the Republican side, and Ortega can return the favor if he wishes to by assaulting these guys. It is uphill. That could be a problem, perhaps. I'm going to think about this for a second. Okay, so let's walk through this real quick. So if they were to try to assault these guys, which they obviously can, they'd have to roll morale against a 6. Now, assuming they pass that, they would then, when we calculate combat strength, they would actually end up having a +2 to their die roll modifier in the hand-to-hand combat, because they're attacking uphill, so they're attacking an elevated position. And also because 6 morale or less is a +1 as well. So that's kind of dicey. And we just saw an assault, so maybe we play it safe and we can simply fire at them. We're just going to fire. We'll fire our... well, actually, you know what? Maybe what we should do is move him out. Move him out down here so he can try to rally these guys. That might be the wiser move for this activation with him. Yeah, let's do that. Now I could do something with these guys, but we have a reaction here. It's a little bit of a risk, but we're going to do it. So he's going to take his platoons, and he's going to go 1, 2. Actually, he can stop right here. And he's close enough now. Actually, no. If he goes here for 2. Actually, that's movement chart woods 2. That'll be 2, 3. I'm pretty sure he can't be seen because he's in the shadow of the woods now. So the next turn he'll be able to rally these guys. So that was the thought there. So that's the end of that activation. Now we're going to take our machine gun here, put a reaction on him as well. So we're just going to say that this reaction now covers the entire hex. I'll just remember that. I'm not going to put a second reaction marker down. So that will take care of their activation, and now we'll move on. So we have Captain Pernia here. So this is going to be interesting, because if we climb here, that's going to cost us 3. And we could then assault this hex, but as soon as we move up here, we're going to have reaction fire from these 2. So maybe what we do instead is we move these guys down the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're in the shadow of the crest line until they get here. And that's a distance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is beyond, it would be a long-range shot for both of these. Or we could do this. He's here. He could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in which case he stays adjacent to the crest line and he's impervious to their reaction fire. That is the smart way to do this. So we're going to put that there. And now we go back to the nationalists, who again, they have somebody in reaction, so they're not going to do anything here. If they move here, well, no matter which way they move, if they move towards, so they're going to move here, which puts them now within range of these two. So we have reaction fire, or opportunity fire as it is called in some other games, but in here it's reaction fire. Okay, so I believe, and I'm not sure, and this might be wrong, but I'm going to play it this way. These two can fire together, because essentially they're the same company, I think. I think the machine gun is attached to the company because it's a single platoon, doesn't have a leader, so I'm thinking that's how it works. So that's how I'm playing it. So their combined firepower is going to be 9. Well, he's going to be a 2 actually, because it's going to get reduced. So that's going to be a 7 because it's more than 2 away. He's 1, 2, 3 away. So his will get reduced to a 2, and his will stay a 5. So that would be a 7. Okay, so the way we resolve this is we know our firepower is a 7. They are in open terrain, which has a defensive value of 2. So you take your 7 becomes a 6, and then we divide it by the divisor, which is 2 here. So it becomes a 3. And then we roll, and so these would be the number of hits we would get. Now, we do get a -1 on the die roll for the moving target. So we're going to roll here, and basically we need a 5 or less. And we get a 6. So that would result in a miss. So we are now going to remove the reaction here and put a finished marker. And now they can continue their move. So they moved 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, hang on. They were here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is tough here. So they started here. They went there. That's 1, 2, 3. We're going to stop right there, because if I go for the full 5, I'll be here, and the nationalist reinforcements are coming in next turn, right? Screw it. We're going to be bold here. Like I said, may not be the best strategy, but that's that. And now the Republicans have one final turn. So now that they've successfully done that, we can actually go here and say we're going to go uphill, right? Up here. So that would cost 3 to do that. And then up here would cost 5. So we have to roll to see if we're going to, or do we want to attack this one? It's 6 of 1. I guess this one, because he's got a machine gun in there, so it would be better to knock that out. So we're going to do another assault here. So we have to, first we need to roll for our morale, which is a 7. He's got 3 platoons with him. First one passes. Second one passes. And third one passes because he gives a +1. So actually they needed an 8. So they all pass. So now they can move into this hex. They would get fired upon again by the defensive fire. And when I resolved it down here before, I screwed it up. It was wrong. It actually didn't end up mattering. But again, so their firepower is a 15. Their defensive terrain is going to be a 3 because it's a crest line. So 3. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm doing that backwards. Their firepower is a 7. It's a 7, which we already knew. We divide it because they're moving uphill over. They're moving, well, they're in rough, I guess. They'd be coming out of rough, which is a divisor of 3. So we're going to end up with with a 7 divided by 3 is basically 2 point something. I think you round that up. And it's a moving target, so we're going to get a -1. So we're going to use the 3 column again with a -1 on the die roll. And we get a 6 with a -1 is a 5, which is still nothing. So now we do our assault. So we know we've got 15 here for them. And nobody has taken a hit. So that, actually, I'm sorry, it's 3 units. So that's going to be 3 times 4 is 12 against an infantry and a mortar, or machine gun rather, which adds up to 7. So it is 12 to 7. And we look at our odds chart here. And, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, odds chart. 12 to 7 is 1.5 to 1. 1.5 to 1. So now we do our hand-to-hand combat roll. Right here. And they are attacking uphill. Defender in an elevated position will give a +1 DRM. They roll a 4, which is a pretty good roll. The +1 will make it a 5. It's 1.5 to 1. A 5 is attacker retreat. So the +1 actually killed them off. So they have to retreat. So they move back to this hex, I believe, is where they came from. And then after they're defeated, I think they have to do a route check themselves, and they have a 7. Our company morale is a 7, okay, for Captain Pernia. And he has a 1, so he's going to make that an 8. And they rolled a 4, so they pass the morale check. I think they have to go here. I don't think they can retreat here because there are adjacent enemy units there. So they're here. We mark them finished. That will be the end of turn number 3. We will go to turn 4, which will introduce the reinforcements on the nationalist side. I am going to stop here to kind of keep things kind of tight and short. We'll have a part 2 within a few days, hopefully. I'm kind of mixing things up, doing various things. I have 3 games I'm currently working at the same time here. So my table's a little busy. And, and there are others. There's just a lot going on this month. I'm trying to kind of cram as much in as possible. So be on the lookout for part 2 of this gameplay if you are interested in seeing it. Actually, if you are interested in seeing it, please comment and let me know that that's the case, so I'll know whether or not I should even bother to do the second part. I did cover the things in general that I wanted to cover. I wanted to show Assault. We've seen it twice now. But things might get a little interesting here. This is only a 9-turn scenario, so it is possible I could probably do part 2 and complete the entire scenario. So if you are interested in seeing that, please post and let me know, and then I'll play it out and see how things go. So as always, thank you for watching. Please consider commenting, asking questions, also sharing, liking, subscribing if you're not a subscriber. Help support the channel. That would be greatly appreciated, as always. Thank you to those of you who are subscribers. I definitely appreciate your support. But yeah, that will do it for this one. I'm Joe. This is Hexed Countered. And until next time, happy gaming.